You are an artist. You're also a minister, a mentor to the youth, a husband, a father. How do you manage, your earthly and heavenly responsibilities, considering how many you have?
You know, the first thing is the grace of God, and then the next thing is that whenever God gives you a burden, he empowers you to take care of that burden. So I mean, if God has called us into being a blessing to not just our nation, nations of the earth, we definitely we definitely need to do everything to work towards that. So that's where we stand, you know. Yeah.
And it's hard most times, honestly, as God is working on people. It's difficult for most people, at least, to understand that He's moving those parts. He's putting things into place. So at what point in your life did you realize that it was God that was making those moves to get you in the right place at the right time? At what point in your life was that prevalent for you?
So I mean, I remember being a kid. My dad would say that, listen, I believe that you're going far, and my dad is going to. My dad would always say that, hey, listen, like I remember one time that my daddy went to bed, my father, and then he got up. He said, Jesse, I had a dream. I saw you ministering at the big stadium, and I saw that the entire world to hear you minister, and it was power packed. 16 years ago, and then
And look at you,
he said, I saw your face.
you just recently were at
Yeah,
FCD.
I tell you,
Did you ever ask yourself why me? Like out of all the people, out of all the young men that could be willing to be the next Jesse Pratt, did you ever ask God, why did you choose me?
I'm still asking that question every day. Why me? And I mean that, there's a saying that we normally say that when preparation meets opportunity, I mean, there is a blast. So, so the Jesse Pratt thing, there have been years of preparation. There have been years of preparation in the wilderness. There have been years of preparation where we'll go to churches and we'll go to places to be a blessing, and after we're not blessed. I mean, we used to go and sing many years ago in Liberia, and we'll walk to go home. We'll walk miles to go home. I mean, they're just so many. There's not comes. There has to be God that can just give anything easy. If God, that's what He said. He did not say you sit down and will bless you.
God gives us a vision. However, there needs to be a companion at a later time in our life that will come along and help us fulfill that God vision, right? That God given vision. So, how did you end up choosing your soulmate? What led up to that, and how did you know she was the right woman for you to accompany you in this purposeful living?
Uh, I believe that since Adam told God, see the woman you found for me, that she didn't want to bring me had to cause that funny woman for me. But He said, the Lord told me that you're my wife. It can happen, though, don't get me wrong. But most of the time, you have seen some things. That's why you are convinced that she's your wife. If you have seen some things that you love and stuff like that, that's why you're convinced. So it's more of your conviction, more of my conviction. It wasn't really about it was motion, and then certain kind of qualities that, and then the Lord has told me that, Jesse, you're going to be a blessing to the nations. So there will come some days and some times that you be trying to be going to the nations. You're going to be, so you could be a person carrying on clandestine over vision. Hallelujah. Are you?
Amen. Amen.
Are
Where exactly did you meet this woman? We just want to know, was it in Nigeria or was it in Liberia
no,
as well?
no, she's a librarian. So funny enough, I came back home. I was on a call with her friend, and then I don't think I've ever said this to her on an interview. So she was like, "Who are you talking to?" And then her friend was like, "There's one guy called Jesse Pratt. He's a gospel artist." And then she was like, "Well, I don't know him." So so we met through a mutual friend. Yep. And then we still talk from there. Everything else is history. So
Okay, through a mutual friend. Usually that's how a lot of love stories starts, my man. It starts with a friend request.
I tell you, my friends,
Uh, but to be quite honest with you, you have quite the resume. I will tell you that much.
sir,
As far as
eh?
as far as your dating profile, you have quite a resume. So I'm pretty sure you just need to meet the right woman, and she'll already be convinced.
I tell you,
But thank
yeah.
God for you, my man. You're able to find your soulmate, your companion, who can help you fulfill God's purpose.
So let me interview you. When are you finding yours?
I actually already have mine. Her name is Gracious Woto, and we're trying to make things happen as well. We want to be as blessed as you are, bringing glory to the kingdom of you, my man.
Wow,
Yes,
nice,
but
nice,
your
beautiful,
question,
nice,
your
nice.
question almost caught me off guard.
Don't worry, you're back on. You're back on. You're back on.
Yeah, I'm
You're
used to
back
being the
on.
one
Yeah.
asking questions. Now, the last thing I want to ask you here is, for those of the people that are watching and people that aspire to be like you in any way, shape, or form, maybe to be an artist or just the minister part of your work to minister to other people, or just the husband part of your work to be a good husband, a good father. What advice do you have to give to that young person? Maybe a smaller version, a younger version of you a few years back. What advice would you give to them so that when it comes time to have the responsibilities like you have now, so that they're successful at it and they don't have to go through the same struggles that you experience?
Know God for yourself. Don't depend on the pastor's relationship. The next thing is that be a consistent young man. Consistency based. Do not listen till you are good for nothing or whatsoever. Listen, if there's one thing that anybody can argue with, is this result. It is not what happened. What it is result. People can never argue with result. People can argue with processes and whatsoever, but so long you have the right result, people cannot argue. And the only thing that I know that brings the right result is consistency. A lot of times we give us so quick, we give us so early, and we don't achieve the things that God has called us to do. Listen, you're making a big mistake. Make sure that you are consistent with what you're doing. If you're knocking the old car behind the house, knock it consistently.
So two things I myself I'm walking away with today is one, like you just now said, is being consistent. Being consistent in whatever it is that God has called us to do. And that consistency is what drives the results. So if you want the results, if you want the outcome, if you want the platform like you may have, if somebody aspired to have that platform, the way you get there is by being consistent. And for some that might take a few months, for others that might take years, but overall be consistent. And then another thing is that you talk about that I want to recap on is the ability for us to not just want success, but be willing to be able to get processed. So a lot of people you share that they see the platform, they want to come on your platform, oh, they have talents, they want to showcase their talent, but they are not yet ready. They're not processed as you described. So firstly is being processed. And what does that process look like? Being willing to be humbled, being willing to go through, the experiences, to learn from somebody who is ahead. And those are all things that we kind of overlook. Everybody just wants success that is overnight. But from words, from you, is it does not happen overnight. It happens through consistency, which drive results. It happens through our ability to be willing to be mentored, which is being processed so that when the time comes, we're ready and we can take on that responsibility